Hello there. This is Dwight Eisenhower greeting you. Oh, Walter, stop it. Hold it there. That's how visitors are welcomed at the Eisenhower Birthplace State Park near Denison, Texas. Eisenhower himself, on an endless tape, says, "Hello there. This is Dwight Eisenhower greeting you." On tape. The former president personally dictated his recorded message, which guests hear through an antique wood wall telephone. Eisenhower goes on to say, "I was born in this house. While you are visiting here in Denison, I hope you will pause to contemplate for a moment the history of this great state of Texas and its importance to our great country." Yes, unfettered like birds, we fly through the great cosmos, man searching eternally for the answer. Signed, Friendless. Well, somehow I like the idea of a recorded president coming out of an antique wood telephone to the visitors to the birthplace. If we could get Raymond Massey now to do his celebrated Lincoln, I wonder how they would handle George Washington. Have you ever been to Valley Forge? There's a fantastic possibilities here. Seriously, friends, you don't realize this. You go into Valley Forge, which has right there on the grounds George Washington's headquarters. Can't you hear George Washington on a recorded endless tape coming out of this 18th century chiffonier? And it says, "This is the father of your country. I am personally pleased to greet you here as you now visit." And then you stand outside the Lincoln Monument and you hear 20 years ago on these. This is the great emancipator now speaking to you. We would like to also say, have you stopped to consider the great importance that this city of Washington has on the history of your country? Friends, this is Millard Fillmore speaking to you from his home in Garfield, Ohio. And I certainly would like to greet you here, and I'd like to also put in a plug for my friend Rufus Jones down on the corner there who sells postcards showing the beauties of Garfield. Only in America would we have wired monuments. Taped, wired. This opens up a tremendous area for research. Do you know that one senator, seriously, one senator recommended to one of the houses of Congress, I believe it was a senator, it might have been a house, no, it was a senator, by George, recommended to Senate that they have Mount Rushmore wired. You know where they have these guys carved in the great stone there? Yes, I'm not kidding you. The guy wanted all the visitors to come there to hear the voices. Of course, there would be suitable echo chambers, since you have a mountain involved there. That's a little bit bigger than just the Lincoln Monument. It's a little bit bigger than an antique wood telephone. And it would be kind of nice to hear echoing throughout those valleys there, those great snow-covered peaks, and that great stone face, and to hear it all coming in an enormous stereo system. Of course, it would be stereo. You might as well use the whole thing here. And George Washington himself, those great stone lips, telling you the history of our country in, well, Reader's Digest ease. That's, say, in 7 easily assimilable sentences. Our forefathers landed upon these hallowed shores of fields of waving grain. Liberty, justice, the American dream, the American way of life. Those great settlers who, forsaking all creature comforts, moved west. Yes, you Americans today, and I, the father of the country, greet you, and I say to you, there's a lot of possibilities, tremendous amount of possibilities. It reminds me of that Vic and Sade story. I remember Vic and Sade with Mr. Bullard, who was the founder of the Sacred Stars of the Milky Way. The great lodge to which Vic belonged.
All right,
and,
there you go.
He had a picture.
We got a couple more weeks of this kind of questionable morning routine where, hey, is it going to get on the air or not? There's only, I think we counted at one point, 19 failure points But as you guys well know, the radio portion of our business is moving back to 6405 Alcott, right behind Smith Chevrolet, and we are so excited. It's kind of our home. We came over here, built a sports network, and now we're going home and doing the same thing we've been doing for 102 years. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey everybody, I'm Jim Dedelow. I'm the morning host here at WJOB AM 1230. I also happen to own this, what would you call it? I like to call it a media molehill, if that makes any sense. Lokoboro noche fi pamana, apalanoroshki fi pipa. And, you know, I made the exact same mistake that I make a lot of mornings, which is waking up early and then kind of doing my things in the morning and then just sitting around. I read a whole bunch of stuff. I'm a closet preparer. And in the end, I showed up rushing like all get out to get everything ready. So I think we're ready right now. Let's take a look at what it is outside. It's supposed to get colder over the weekend, but I mean, right now I think it'll just stay in the 20s most of the day. But you got to get ready for this deep frigid weather on Saturday, if that makes any sense. Let me see here. You would think I'd already have pulled it up, but that's not the case. So here we go. What do you want to do? Let's do the weather for Highland. Do you know what I mean? 19 overlapping municipal taxing jurisdictions. All right, for some reason I'm out of focus. Why is that? All right, let me see if I can fix that. There you go. Is that right? All right. I wanted to go back to radio, and I didn't want to be on TV. And then I have a group of young students who are like, dude, you got to be on YouTube. So I guess I'm on YouTube. I have no way of knowing. So like always, if one of you would just text me if we're on YouTube or not, then I would know. You know what I mean? And don't think, well, someone else will text them. No, text me and we'll figure it out. All right, so a high of 28 today. They're talking about a coating of an inch overnight tonight, but I'm hearing a little bit deeper possibilities, especially actually, typically we get more snow here than they do in Chicago. All right, you guys are going to force me to log on to YouTube and see if I'm on YouTube. You guys, you know, no one's going to text me this. I can't believe it. Here we are going into the Christmas season, and there I am, right? Is that me? Yeah, that's me. So thank you. I am on YouTube, I think. Yeah, there it is. So good enough for me and good enough for you. All right, take that off there. All right, high of 28 today. Maybe a little bit of sunshine throughout the day. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy and chilly with a couple flurries. And then high of 31. And then it drops pretty hard on Saturday. Frigid with snow and flurries accumulating to a coating of an inch. A real feel of about 10 below. So actually going to get to -5 overnight on Saturday into Sunday. Sunday, a high of anywhere from 9 to 11. Then it warms up a little bit. So there you go. What about traffic? I knew you were going to say that. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. To Bishop Ford up the gut of the Southland, along with Dan Ryan looks good. Skyway Toll Road look good. Your problem is on northbound Klein Avenue. What is happening there? All right, let me get my glasses, huh? For some reason, there is bad traffic from the Borman going northbound on Klein Avenue to the toll road. So does anybody have any intel on that? Even if you're like just a normal person that doesn't call in or whatever, and you happen to be on Klein Avenue, just call me at 219-845-1100 if for no other reason that I'm quite curious about why that would be a problem at this hour. All right, let me get my glasses, and then there they are. All right, so it says here that there's an accident on northbound Klein Avenue, and it looks like it's right as you get on the toll road, right? So let me picture that entrance exit. So you're going northbound on Klein Avenue, and then I believe it loops around. Is that right? Let me think about this. Does it loop around, and then you got to hang a left? Yeah. So it kind of, you're going northbound on Klein Avenue, and you get off to the right, and then it loops around, and then you come to a stoplight. And that is some of the worst road in America right there at that junction of the Indiana Toll Road and the Klein Avenue. If you ever been under there, then you can either go over to the East Chicago, I don't know, the municipal station or where they have all the stuff there. And then, or you could go hang a left and you could go on to the toll road, right? And, but underneath the bridge there, it's like nobody cares. It's kind of like on that alley that leads from right behind, right, going into Minor Dunn in Highland. I forget what the name of that gas station is right there on Indianapolis Boulevard. I think that's Lincoln Street, right? So whatever that street is, and then there's a little bit of an alley that goes behind the gas station, and then if you take it south, it'll drop you off at Minor Dunn. And I tend to cut through the neighborhood there and then come on that little bit of alley. And I'm pretty sure nobody's ever paved that. It's like, if you want to test your shocks, go behind the gas station right there by Minor Dunn and go. Well, that's the same thing as underneath the bridge, getting on the toll road from Klein Avenue, or worse, when you get off the toll road and then you got to go under that bridge and you got to you usually go left to go northbound on Klein Avenue. You're like, ugh, this is, and not only that, a lot of times there's people waiting there. But anyways, there's your traffic. There's an accident at Klein and Toll Road. If anybody sees it, give me a call. I see a couple calls, so maybe this is one of them about that accident. Hey, you're on the air. How are you? Nope, I guess I missed that. Sorry. All right, and then the other one hung up. So there we go. All right, what do you guys want to talk about today? I know that, you're just a little bit shy about some of these topics, and I get it. So I got to save this thing. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get set up and let me pay a couple bills, and then when I come back, I got a whole bunch of things, especially downstate, that are happening that can affect us. You certainly have stuff on the national scene, and I got a couple local ones here. Be right back on the voice and face of the region. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep is heavenly peace, sleeping.
Just no, the far side. That means the far one. There you go. All right, now.
Cachampaña malamoro para giren. Da 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 da. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-dee-dee. Poro-poro-ro-ro-ro-ram-ka. Fuchi-bidi-mini-mboro-loro. Gichi-bika-pa-ta-pa-da-na. La-da-ba-da-ma-ne-de-shkifi. Ha-pa-pa-pa-pa-ta-pa-na-na. Chippy-feepy-heepy-leepy. Gotcha pa fa pa na 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 na. Halapatushi fi piki. Epatipa fa pa pa ta na. La paradishki fi pidipi. How is everybody today, huh? My name's Jim Dedelow, and I'm the morning host here on AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7 FM. And we are a 102-year-old radio station, happen to be on YouTube right now. And what you got to do is go to WJOB 1230 on YouTube, and you'll be able to find it. How's that sound? But our main thing right now is taking a look at some weather and some on the radio side. YouTube seems fine. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to sing, and in the background, the radio is going to be on. Ready? Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yonder. All right, so Jamie says that my mic is going in and out. So if anybody else has that problem, give me a call, will you? At 219-845-1100. The thing I'm trying to get is some information on this crash at the toll road and Klein Avenue. And all you really have to do is follow the one quote in the Bible where it says, "Seek and ye shall find, saith the Lord." And I forget who that is. Who said that? I used to know this stuff when I was sitting, and Father Weiss was, "You should know the Bible. Seek and ye shall find." What is that? Is that a Matthew or is that Luke? I can't remember. Through all of this, somebody out there is going, "Dude, it's Matthew. You should know that." I think it is Matthew. All right, so Matthew, "Seek and ye shall find, saith the Lord." And all you got to do is put it out on the radio, and Paul Goddard will send it to you. It's not the same thing, but it the structure of the relationship is similar. Rollover crash on Klein northbound at the 5th Avenue exit. So 5th Avenue, isn't that right past the toll road exit? So my guess is that if you're going northbound on Klein, it's not all that well lit in that area. You would get over to the right and you would do that loop into the toll road. Or you would go a little bit further and you would get off at 5th Avenue, right? Now, I'm thinking of, or am I thinking of 15th Avenue? No, I'm thinking of 5th Avenue. So right in that area, it's backing up, and that's your worst thing on traffic if you're going northbound on Klein Avenue. As you well know, Klein Avenue is elevated. In a lot of areas, it's only 2 lanes. So if you get a problem on there, it can be it can back things up pretty good, and that's what it's doing. It's basically backing up from 5th Avenue to the Borman. Now, 5th is 169th? No, it's not. That's not Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue is not is Michigan Street on the other side. So if you're going northbound on Klein Avenue, the first main exit is 169th on the left, and then is at 15th Avenue on the right, and then that would be 169th. Then I'm pretty sure if you go further, 5th Avenue to the right, and then Michigan Street that goes out by the train station there and turns into Carroll Avenue in East Chicago is what those things up. So I am disagreeing with Paul Goddard, who is lighting up my phone. He is saying 5th is 169th on the Hammond side. Does anybody, I mean, that's wrong, right? It's right in between those two. So the accident is between 15th and 5th. All right? So let's just understand that. I don't know, but somebody rolled over, probably on the way to work. Somebody coming in late to the mill, probably some 27-year-old in an F-150 late for work, because I know that game from being a laborer, being late for work, going to the Gary Sanitary District or going to BP, that kind of thing. I mean, it can get, you got to pay attention in the morning on Klein Avenue North. I hope everybody's all right. So there it is. Weather, it's going to get really cold on Saturday and Sunday. Today, a high of 28, though, a coating to an inch tonight, kind of mostly cloudy, but a little bit of sun at some points. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy and chilly with a couple flurries. Watch for some slippery roads tomorrow. Tom Dabberton will be here tomorrow. And then I'll come back the following Friday. I have some work to do tomorrow, so I appreciate it for Dabberton. And then by Saturday, it gets really cold. I mean, you're talking a high of 9 and a low of about 6 below overnight. And then on Sunday, a high of about 10 and a low of about 0. Mostly sunny and bitterly cold on Sunday. So there it is. What do you guys got on your mind? I got plenty of stuff here, but I'll just take a couple phone calls. You guys have been waiting. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Good morning.
How you doing?
How you doing? You know, when you're going north on Klein, well, anyhow, the North Pole is to the north, South Pole is to the south, the sun sets to the west, the sun rises to the east. That's common knowledge. But now, you talking about Klein Avenue, that is a real touchy road there, because as soon as you come off the interstate, I-94, Borman, or whatever they call that thing, okay, as soon as you come off, the first exit is 15th and 169th, which 15th means you're going into Gary, Indiana.
And that's a really bumpy road.
Yeah.
We're talking about bumpy roads, 15th Avenue and Gary.
Well, the reason
they fixed it. I haven't been down
that 15th Avenue is bad because they've got so many big trucking terminals over there, and that's the city's property road to maintain. Okay, infrastructure maintained. They do not do it. They just let it rot. But then if you're going north, 15th is to the east, means you're going into Gary. If you get out there and then turn left, 169, you're going in. You're right in, because Klein is like the border, Hammond and Gary, and all going north. And then like you go north. Then when you go north, the next exit is 5th Avenue, which means you're going into Gary, Indiana again. If you go west, Michigan, which means boom, you're going into Hammond, and then you get off that wonderful exit you tow for the toll road. Because I used to get off that exit or take the toll roads and stuff, and man, when you make a left and go under the bridge and then want to go south to get on South Klein, God, that thing is so terrible. I mean, your coffee cup can't even sit in your holder. You got to hold your coffee cup,
So I guess my question was, when you go on northbound on Klein Avenue, certainly it's 15th/169th. Paul Goddard needs to learn his directions.
He's good at his directions because he knows how a crane, how he works. He knows which way his job is, which way that thing goes back and forth. He's
I
good
got
at
you.
that.
But then what's first? Hold on. What's first, the toll road or 5th Avenue? If you're going northbound.
5th Avenue is first,
right,
and then
5th
the toll
Avenue,
road.
and then the toll road.
Yeah, because right after you pass 5th Avenue and Michigan to go west, then you start going around the curve, and then bam, you're right there to get off the exit to go to the tow road, and then you got to loop around, come down to the bottom to the light, you know.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Anybody listening at some other time, there is a rollover accident on northbound Klein Avenue. We always have to be very careful of that, and that there have been, honestly, Mike, I wouldn't even want to even begin to speculate how many fatalities we've had on that road over the years, because it is so dangerous. There's not a real shoulder. It curves, and it's elevated, and it's easy for the pavement to get slick, especially when it's around freezing like it is right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
and then, you know, it's like yesterday I took that student out to get tested, and he's been a good person to talk to, because the reason he's getting his CDL is because he works for the railroad, goes out, like when these trains derail and problems that trains derail, he goes out, he's telling me, he's been talking, he telling me how many hours he works and everything, and when he gets his CDL, he's going to jump up 2 classes, going to be making more money. He lives out in Dyer or somewhere, and he was telling me yesterday coming back, because we had snow starting to come down after he passed, and he had to drive slower because of the conditions. And he's telling me about, you know, his job as they go out. You know, sometimes he's like, as soon as he's on call 24 hours a day, and I mean, he can go home, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes he's sitting in a house and they had a derailment. Bam, he's got to go out. You know, he was telling me all this interesting stuff about
Mike,
the railroad.
I got to move it. But I appreciate you clarifying where that accident would be, and that you're teaching the truck drivers of tomorrow. But did you know that for a very long time I held a CDL? Yeah.
Hey, another thing is,
all right, hey, Mike, I literally got to go. Thank you.
Yeah, but one thing is, if nobody knows which way they're going, how many people years ago used to have on their dash a compass so they know which direction they go?
Oh, they have that on every one of those rear view mirrors now. Will tell you what direction you're going to go.
Okay, everybody have a safe and wonderful day.
Do you
today.
know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know. I have it too.
It's kind of built in there, and believe me, I've used it many times. Do you think how many people you think know how to read a compass? I'm curiosity, because see, when I lived at home with my dad, I know I got to let you go, but 1 second more. When I lived at home with my parents, my dad used to have this wonderful, like, round compass on the dash, and I loved it because we're driving around, and I watched that thing move around into the liquid and show the direction we're going. My grandpa had one of those. All right, man, thanks a lot. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
True south is north, if that'll screw you up. But if you really know where north is at, let your dog out in the yard. He'll do a circle, and their nose will always point north before they do their duty.
You're wrong. No. I've never paid attention to that, but I got to believe that's a Stanicism that you just made up while you were on hold.
I'm telling you, you got to. I watched my dog, and I read that someplace. I go, you know what? He does kind of like do a circle, and he does kind of aim for the north. Why, I don't know, but it's always worked for me.
So, you know, Steve, as a dyslexic person, there are certain things that you don't realize that when you're a child, but I could get north and south down because you kind of knew where Chicago was and you could point to it. But I always had trouble with east and west into my teens. Even now, once in a while, I'll say to people, well, I'll drive west and blah, blah, blah. And somebody will text, you idiot, it's drive east, right? So, but where we are, one of the things is back in the day when there weren't so much light around here, you would be able to see the light of Chicago. Now you can't really see it because we have so much light pollution in between. But that was always a good anchor for where the Northwest was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those city lights are very bright, and you're absolutely right. And a lot of times, you could also go by the smell. If you smelled that oil and you smelled that refinery, you kind of knew you was going north. That kind of helped you out a bit. And out here in Arizona, it's really screwed up because there's so many one-way drivers because their roads are they're designed crazy. And at daytime, it's easy to drive because you know that the mountains are west, certain mountains are west and east, north and south. But when that sun goes down, it is really easy to get turned around backwards. And a lot of the newer cars like mine, it tells you what direction you're driving, which is good. And if nothing else, you pull that old cell phone out, and that'll get you in the right direction.
Well, I mean, his point was people don't, I mean, my grandpa used to have one of those on his dashboard, and he would have the compass. And it was really kind of cool as a little kid to just kind of drive around with no seatbelt on, scurrying around the front seat, and watch the compass change as you went in different different areas. But how many people do you think would know how to read that right now?
Yeah, well, here's the funny part. I'll never forget this. I was sitting in the police station one time, and they were getting ready to interview a couple guys, and I was just listening off to the side. And these two guys were looking up at the clock. You know, they got military time. And I never forget, I laughed so I fell out of the chair when one guy said to the other guy, he goes, "What are those numbers?" And one guy said, "Man, you don't know what those numbers are? That's a barometer." I started laughing so hard. Nothing to do with compasses, but it was the most funniest thing to hear. And I could just imagine if you threw a compass on the ground, maybe put $5 on it, and somebody found it, they probably would have no idea what that compass was. You know, the old Boy Scout one, the little round one with the N, S, and E and W on it. They'd probably go, "What the heck is this thing?"
All right, hold on a second. How many people know how to use a protractor?
Hey, that's another good one.
What's that one thing that measures an angle that's like a half moon? The protractor is when you stick the pin in the middle, right? And then it draws you a perfect circle, right?
No, I thought the protractor was that kind of half moon thing.
All right, what is a protractor? Yeah, that's a protractor. What's that thing that goes in the middle and then you draw a complete circle all the way around it? What's that thing called?
Spirograph. That was the spirograph.
Hey, could you imagine if you, like some 9-year-old kid, no, spirograph was a game. What's that tool
I know,
name?
Right, but it would have made a circle.
How do you draw a tool to draw a circle with, right? Yeah, draw perfect circles. It's called they're calling it a compass. It's a compass. It's a different kind of compass.
I think it's a thumbtack and a screen, or a thumbtack and a string. That'll make a circle.
Thumbtack and a string. So how many people would know how to use a compass or a protractor or a directional compass? I bet there's not a lot of people that know how to do that still.
We learned that at tech in a micrometer. You pull a micrometer out, people go, "What's that thing?"
I forgot you went to tech.
One thing we learned was measurements.
It's not the only thing you learn, man. You know, there's a lot of people that are listening that went to tech, and when I make fun of tech, I do it out of a good-natured moment because most of my relatives went to Hammond High, and then one wing of it, like the Podcoles, they went to tech. And so I grew up sitting around the table, people going, "Hello, talking Polish. And then the only part I could understand was when they made fun of Hammond Tech and everybody started laughing. It was kind of the joke for whatever reason. But whoever went there is so proud of going there, including you.
Oh, yeah, it was a great school. I learned so much, but I'll never forget one of the toughest, I'd say, questions I had in math when I was going to Wallace School. Every time the teacher would go, "What's 2 and 3?" I'd pull my fingers out and I'd be yelling, "Hey, that's 5, and 3 and 3." I'd be yelling 6. I'll never forget my teacher called me in the front of the classroom. She said, "All right, Steve, you know all the answers. Put your hands in your pocket." And she said, "Tell the class what 5 and 5 is." I said, 11.
Let's end it right there. Hey, tip your bartender on the way out. Thanks a lot, man. Talk to you. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing okay.
Yes, it's sounding like this segment of the show is being sponsored by the Compass and the Protractor Lobby.
if there ever was such a thing, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, my dad went to Purdue and got an engineering degree in the late 50s, early 60s. And he was really good with it. What do they call that thing where you, he could run an abacus pretty well. I know that much, but there was a slide rule. I don't even know what a slide rule does, but the old man would pull out his old slide rule once in a while and use it in certain situations. So I don't even remember what that was for, but all of these things are gone because...
Maybe computing logarithms or something. I'm trying to think of that myself off the top of my head.
It's kind of like an analog computer, and then you slide it along, and then the numbers line up, and they mean something. And it's mostly engineers and scientists, and they used it before
I'm at a bit of
electronic.
a loss to kind of think about what it might be off the top of my head myself.
Exactly. David, it is good to hear from you like always, my friend, and I know you're always listening, right?
Hey, I tried to. Speaking of which, I kind of got a bit of a random humorous thought, if you will, for the Griffith Elementary Schools as they kind of have lunch for next Tuesday. One of the menus on their items being something called smiley potatoes. And I'm kind of wondering to myself as I'm hearing what sounds like Gene Shepard coming through at the start of your show these days. I'm wondering if any of these said smiley potatoes will end up shaped like the Peking duck from Gene Shepard's A Christmas Story.
You know,
where the old man saying, "It's smiling at me," before the duck gets its head chopped off.
You know, people don't realize that the guy who wrote that, Gene Shepard, is this Gene Shepard Center over here in Hammond, and he worked here at WJOB doing exactly what I'm doing right now in like the late 40s. He came here after the war when he was a soldier, and then he worked at WJOB for a few years before he moved to...
And also, another highlight, if you will, there's kind of like the Warren G. Harding School over in Hammond, which... I think my older brothers ended up going there, at least for a spell before my family, my parents and my brothers, and myself ended up moving to Griffith in the mid-'70s.
Yeah, so
and I think
Warren,
that probably
that's
might have
a
been
real
the impetus
school.
as to why our family ended up moving to Griffith. Because we ran out of room in the old house in Hammond, I suppose.
Well, that's an interesting thing because the Warren G. Harding School is still there, and he talks about it. But I was playing Gene Shepard there. People don't realize that he was way more famous as a radio guy until that movie came out. He was heard up and down the eastern seaboard from the big radio station in New York City, and you could hear him as far as Maine and down to the Carolinas sometimes. And he was very popular, and that this Christmas Story stuff was just a segment on his show. And then he wrote a book, and it wasn't very popular for like 20 years. And then somebody said, hey, let's make a film out of the book. It's based on Hammond, Indiana. And then they go to Cleveland to film it because it was cheaper. So anyways, hey, David, I got to go, buddy. I'd love to talk to you, okay? But I do got to move it. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Jim, Vinny, how are you?
Vinny, how are you, man? It's like a lot of voices from the past.
Yeah, how you been, man?
I've been good. Tell us about you. Give us an update.
Okay, so I want to apologize to everybody. I haven't been calling. Sandy's been really sick. And last night, about 7 o'clock, I had to call the ambulance, and she got admitted. She's still in the emergency room. They're taking care of her there at Franciscan Hospital in Munster. She's still in the holding area in room 7 because they don't have any rooms available. So she'll probably be, hopefully they'll get a room either today or tomorrow.
Well, Vinny, Sandy's still around, right?
Yeah, he's still with us, Jim. And that's a good thing. And prayers are needed. We have to have like a ramp built, and nothing fancy, just to get us by for about 6 feet. And so I can get Sandy in and out by the back door, because that's where I can be able to get her out, by the back door and everything, because we have the alley and I have access to get in and get out, onto the street. But she's not doing too well, Jim, and you know the story behind that. And she's not doing too good.
How are you doing, Vinny?
Jim, I'm holding up, but I never lie to you. You know that. My grandma told me, don't ever lie to anybody. I'm trying to hide it, but I'm a wreck. I've been working full time, and I told Sandy that on August 1st of 2026, I'm going to step down to part time. I'm filling out my retirement benefits on January 13th, and then I'm going to step down to part time because I just can't, have her alone that long period of time.
So you got to leave your full-time job to be a caretaker.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to step down to part-time. I'm still going to be working at Shoe Carnival in Maryville. And then in 2027, Sandy and I are going to make a decision, that I'll just be a full-time caregiver.
So do you know how to navigate that system, Vinny, where you get paid for being the caretaker?
You know what, Jim? I tried, and they kept calling me, and I never got anywhere, and I don't know how to do it.
So, Vinny, here's the deal. Look at it from the government's perspective. I mean, if, like Sandy were, like, say you were working full-time and it was the government's job to take care of her and they brought her into a home or something, then it would be 20, 30 times more expensive to the state than for you to take care of her in your own house, okay? There wouldn't be housing costs. I mean, you'd cover the food costs. There'd still be medical costs, but it's way cheaper from the government's standpoint. So you got to get better at that system because, and I've heard other people, I don't want to do the system. And I'm like, listen, you worked all these years, you paid taxes in there, and now you are a full-time caretaker. Learn how to operate it and get in there, and they will pay you to take care of your loved one. Partly because that's what we do as a society. So, I don't even know where you start with that, but I'll tell you what. Tavel and Nikki are coming in from the North Township office. You're not in North Township, are you?
Oh, yes, I am, Jim. I'm right here in Huntsville.
I'll just tell them as they're coming in to address that topic. Like, say if you're a full-time caretaker, you had to leave your job to be a full-time caretaker in your house. What are the steps you can do to get, paid for that so that you can meet your bills? And the money's there. So, all right. So you listen at 7:35, and I'll make sure that they address that. Okay.
Okay, Jim. Just prayers are needed, and I just told Sandy, not to worry about Christmas. My Christmas is getting you better.
All right, buddy. We're all behind you. Merry Christmas. Keep us updated. I'll be here. I'll probably do 4 or 5 more shows before Christmas, and I want to hear from you. Okay.
Jim, yeah, I'll tell you what, are you and Verly going to do a show on this coming Tuesday, or are you guys done?
No, Verly's standing down. She's like, I kind of have a lot of guests I got to get in, and she's just like, Jed, why don't you just take Tuesday and whatever. So she's standing down on this Tuesday, but we'll be back the week right before Christmas. So we'll be back together. All right?
Okay, so you want me to call you like the following week?
Yeah, the following week. All right, man.
Oh, Okay, Jim, I'll do that. You guys take care and God bless, okay?
You too, Vinny. Thanks a lot.
Huh.
AM 1230 WJOB 104.7 FM. Let's hear from one of our sponsors. Silent night, holy night. All is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and adore him. Hele moroshki fiti. Lolo moroshki. I had to turn that off for you YouTubers because Cousin Phyllis called and she's got a potty mouth like you wouldn't believe. Hele moroshki. Hap kamarananya. Holo moroshki firi pili dam kiri. Hoshkefe moro, here maran yereshki, fa poro loro mono, helam gafi pirishmi, helire foponoshko foho pamanam, heloroshkmi fam, poloshmi foholo, Herishk fa paramana ha polololo. Oh my gosh. Hapkam noloshki fe holo moroniereshki fa panalamam. What a break I just had. Cousin Phyllis called, and I'm pretty sure in the span of about a 2-minute phone call, I heard 5 or 6 F-bombs and a couple of sons of nyanya. And then I even heard a couple mother and father references, like shut the front door kind of stuff, and it made me laugh. And then MX sends me in kind of an X-rated meme of me. I'm like his biggest one, and I'm honored to be some of his best material. I'm also honored to give you traffic here on WJOB, 102 years of Hanyam and Yanyamo. 294 around the city looks pretty good up until right before you get to the airport. They had a disabled vehicle right at the exit there by the Big Ten Network, and it is backing things up for several miles. So if you're going to O'Hare, you're like, doodly doo doo doo, doodly doo doo doo. I'm on my way to O'Hare, and everything's good. And then it's like, why is there so much traffic? I'm going to miss my flight. Or I'm supposed to pick up my wife, and she's going to be standing there in the cold, and I'm going to get yelled at. Whatever it is, you're going to need some extra time to go to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Fode into the Dan Ryan, moving along lighter than normal. Skyway, Toll Road, Barman, I-65, they're all moved along well. That earlier accident on northbound Klein Avenue has been cleaned up. It was a rollover accident. We don't know the level of injuries or anything like that, but it's been cleaned up, and we'll go with that. Hele moroshkifa, moro no. Now you want the weather. And we have a high of 28 today. Right now it's 24 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til. No, I'm sorry. Right now it is 29 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. As you know, this is no longer really an innovation and entrepreneurship center. It's turned into a cybersecurity center. And we're going to move the radio station back home. So some of the problems that have existed over the years, going over the internet, hopefully that will go away. What I'm looking for right now is to buy a generator. So if anybody's getting rid of a generator at some industrial complex, let me know. And I'm not buying a new one because that's not what radio does. You buy other people's discarded materials and they work. Anyways, high of 28, mostly cloudy and cold. And then tomorrow, it'll be a high of 31, mostly cloudy and chilly with a couple of flurries. Watch for slippery spots early. And then by Saturday, a high of only 9 degrees, frigid with snow and flurries. And then by Sunday, mostly sunny and bitter cold. I want to hit just one or two quick news stories before I take your phone calls. One is the redistricting vote is supposed to happen today, Thursday, December 11th. And redistricting will face a final vote in the Indiana Senate, possibly ending a months-long saga racked by violent threats, primary challengers, and an unusual amount of national political pressure. Indiana is in the national spotlight right now for two reasons. One is Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers shocked the world and beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game last week, and they are the number one football team in the United States of America. I can't believe I'm saying that. Please, if you want to know that it's real, go to Facebook and go to the Heartland Sports Network or Jed TV Sports Network and watch Sam Michaels' interviews with Don Fisher that he's been doing for years in the morning on Monday. And Don, it wasn't a massive audience for a number of years, but he'll get tens of thousands of views of that interview with Don Fisher, and that just goes to show you what the appetite is for Indiana Hoosier football. And then the other thing is right now is we are in the national spotlight because President Trump wants us to redistrict. Governor Braun has taken up the case for President Trump, and instead of having kind of a rectangular district up here where it's like Hammond, Gary, Whiting, Portage, Ogden, Michigan City, that kind of thing, and then going south, it would just be Lake County, and then they would build a banana, and it'll look like a banana all the way out to Wabash County and almost to the Ohio border. It's kind of funny, really. But I've been looking, I'm like, well, who are the other radio stations there? And who would I call and say, hey, what's it like in Wabash County? Tell us. And we would be able to know who our brothers and sisters in the 1st Congressional District would be. So that will be today. The House of Representatives have voted, or will vote, already voted for it, and now it needs 25 senators. And so far, only 16 have said they would do it. There's a bunch of people on the fence, including a couple of our local people. I looked at the list on the Indy Star today. They said what has each senator said, and according to what they're saying is that no local senators have agreed to vote for it. But there's plenty throughout the state of Indiana. From what I gather, I'm looking here who's opposing it. And I got to say right now, there are several that haven't either shared an official position, and that is led, I think, of the 6 that haven't shared an official position. 3 of them are from here, and we will keep a close eye on what Ed Charbonneau of Valpo. Charbonneau has not responded to Indy Star's inquiries about his stance. Here's what Dan Durnell out of Highland said. He said, there are a lot of emotions and concerns on both sides of this. I just have to be the one that makes the decision. I just have to be the one that makes the decision. Is on my mind, no doubt. And then there's Rick Niemeyer out of Lowell. This will be a very interesting one. Rick ran against Frank Mervan in the 1st district and put up a pretty good fight. This district is changing from almost always just Democrat to having more and more Republican voters, especially those that are dissatisfied from Illinois that have come over here and moved into the South County area. Here's what Rick Niemeyer out of Lowell said. He said, I still haven't publicly committed either way. I'm looking at both sides. Both sides have their points. So we will look at them, what they're going to do. On the representative side, we did follow Julie Altoff and Hal Slager, and according to Indy Star, they both voted for redistricting, standing with Governor Braun and Donald Trump and what they wanted. And we'll see if the Trump-Braun thing can carry political weight enough in Indiana to change this 1st congressional district. So there it is. I did that. I wanted one more. I wanted to talk about Reaper's Realm. You guys are aware of right here in Reaper's Realm is, God, I've known this place for years, and I ride the bike right behind it. But it's right here at Calumet and the Borman. Now River North is the name of a century-old building with broken windows and peeling paint in Hammond, tucked between the Little Cal and Borman Expressway. This is Joe Pete in the Times. You want to read his article. It's very good on this. The city has seized the former Reaper's Realm, and originally, remember, it was the Botanic Gardens, and it's looking to develop it in a similar manner to what's been done at the highway exits on Indianapolis Boulevard and Kennedy Avenue. Of course, at Kennedy, you have Gasovich's buildings there and Byway Brewing and all of that. Here at Indianapolis, you have had more retail as they took the former Woodmar Country Club and parts of the old drive-in over there, and they redeveloped it. And Indianapolis Boulevard, when you get off going south off the Borman, is just a massive amount of development over the last 10, 15 years. Same thing at Kennedy. Now will that same thing come to Calumet Avenue? I sure hope so. I've known that area. I mean, I grew up right there. I grew up on Madison Avenue behind Munster Lanes, and used to come down to the Little Cal and go over to the Botanic Gardens. And now I ride my bike over that big bridge over Calumet Avenue and then go right behind the Botanic Gardens. And they used to do the haunted house there. I think they still do. But they're Hammond, executive director of executive planning, says that it is the River North site now. All right, let's take some calls. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Mark here. Mark from Hammond. Hey, Jed. What's going on, man?
How you been, man? All the old voices are coming out of the woodwork.
There's a helicopter flying over. It just got here. There must be ABC 7. There's something going on at Klein Avenue and I-80 or something? Because they're right over the intersection right now.
All right. At Klein Avenue and like between 15th and 5th, there was a rollover accident, but according to my cameras here, it looks as if you can drive it now. It was really backed up early, so I'm guessing that's a traffic helicopter.
Yeah, it's sitting over the exchange over there at 8094 in Klein. I can see it from my building where I work at.
All right, so anyway, let me look here. I don't have any major traffic there. I do know that just a little bit north, that was where the accident wasn't, but Klein Avenue North is flowing freely now.
Oh, okay, whatever.
But I appreciate you calling. So
no, I'm not done yet. So to my friend David, the pride of South Hammond, we grew up together. Smiley fries are round, and they got a couple little eyes in them, and a big smiley face.
How do they make the eyes? And what is it, like a potato pancake or what?
No. It's probably the size of a $50 or something. You know, they come from the company, frozen, and they throw them in the oven and feed them to the kids.
Yeah, but what is all right, so they're made out of potatoes in a special shape, usually circular, right? Yeah. So they're like circular fries. But what is the eyes and the nose and the mouth made out of?
It's just a hole. It's just a hole through the potato.
Oh, I see. It's it's just a punch machine.
Right. Yeah, sure, you could say that.
How do you know? How do you know this?
I work in a school.
So you're still doing that, huh?
Well, I had retired, and then I got sick, and I couldn't do my side jobs that I was going to do because it put a lot of strain on my ticker, and so I came back. There's a position back open, so I came back to my old job.
Because honestly, and I'm sorry to hear about your ticker, but if I remember correctly, you and I were celebrating your retirement, and you're right back where you were.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, getting sick and getting a pacemaker, you know, will kind of put a damper on a whole lot of things. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're still around. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Did you have a big scare?
On the door. Oh. I walked into the ER with my pulse about 38.
You walked into the ER?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Couldn't call an ambulance or?
No, I'm only a couple blocks. I was fine. I couldn't even tell.
Then how'd you know you were having a heart attack?
No, I didn't have a heart attack.
Well, how'd you know you were having a problem?
I put my little pulse ox stick on my finger. Because
otherwise, you wouldn't have known?
Right, exactly. Yep. I would have been laying over there at St. John Cemetery.
Well, buddy, I'm glad you're still around. And I'm glad you're working. Feeding the kids of tomorrow. The leaders of tomorrow need to eat.
Yep. So anyway.
All right, well, we're glad you're still hanging with us, and I'm glad you're still listening.
So how are you going to put all that stuff over there into that itty-bitty building over there down on Alcott Avenue?
Well, first of all, that itty-bitty building is about 3 times the size of our space right now, maybe 4. So there's plenty of room.
It doesn't look that big. But
it doesn't look that big, but you know, if you drive around it, you're like, wow. I think it's like 5,600 square feet. But so really, why we're doing it is that obviously they've changed the nature of this building, and you know, it's not as great a fit. But also, we need to record when somebody's live on the air, and we need a second studio when all these groups come in. So we have the room there for that. And then all those old radio studios, if anybody knows the building, was all these, they used to run, at one point, I think they ran 5 radio stations out of there.
Yeah.
So there's all these little radio studios. They're tiny, but they're soundproofed, and they have they're built basically for a podcast studio. So.
Yep. All right. That helicopter's still hovering over there. So.
All right. Well, hey, it's good to hear from you. Go feed the leaders of tomorrow, will
you? Yeah. All right. Talk to you.
Hey, you're on the air. What are you doing?
You know what? you brought up a lot of old memories when you started talking about compass. Okay. But could you give me a hint what Cousin Phil said? Because I forgot all about her, about the Christmas list.
Oh, my
Just a
God,
hint.
was she on fire. She was really mad about something this morning. She was also mad that I didn't answer her phone call. She's been calling for a half an hour or 40 minutes. But you should have heard her. Can you even imagine what that was like when she gets mad?
Should I put her... Now, this is up to you, Jed. Should I put her back on the Christmas list? It's
Well,
really
I don't know
nice.
if she's been naughty or nice. I haven't seen her in a little while.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, she's been flying under the radar, and I didn't put her on the MX Christmas list. It's up to you. Yes or no?
Well, here's the thing. She's going to have to go to confession, and she's going to have to say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I have been a potty mouth, and I've said the F word 10,000 times since my last confession.
Now let's get into the compass.
All right,
You
go
didn't
ahead.
say yes or no. Yes?
Yes, go ahead, man. It's just you and me. Nobody's listening. Go
No,
ahead.
I mean yes on the Christmas list.
Oh, yes on the... why don't you give me a little time to think about that, okay?
You only got a few more days. Now let's go into this compass.
All right.
It's compass, it's Christmas time, and it's what it was like to be at Inland Steel. Now, compass lays out circles, right?
Yeah?
But when you get into the broader aspect of layout, big, huge layout, you use trammel points, okay? And trammel points is what built that Hammond water tank. And trammel points is what has built many of those gas tanks, oil tanks. So now we get into the Christmas parties and the Christmas tree at Inland Steel. Now, the Boilermaker Christmas party, and anybody can vouch for this, they used to take guys out in wheelbarrows, and the guard would look the other way. Life is a full circle if you live long enough.
Well, all right. It's been a
I'm
while
not
since
finished.
I've been on. Hold on a second. I want to go back to trammel points. Obviously, I was a laborer, right? And
Yeah.
isn't that where, like, you take a beam or a piece of wood, and then you put one point at the end of it, and then you put another point somewhere on the beam, and then you can swing it and use it as a compass, right? So the trammel
You
point.
strike arcs.
What's that?
Exactly. You strike arcs with it. You don't use a tape measure.
Yes.
You get your angles that way.
Instead of like, I needed, from the main point using a tape measure, you would just use the piece of